Hello, forward thinkers, and welcome to another episode of Expats Unpacked. In this episode, we have Ivan Sysoev, the Chief AI Officer at Quadcode, leading AI-driven innovation in the FinTech sector. Ivan is passionate about ethical and trustworthy AI. He focuses on breaking down barriers between humans and machines, ensuring that AI remains transparent, efficient, and impactful. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spotify and at fastforward.com.cy. Ivan, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you've been to Cyprus from such a young age. You're practically a local. We just found out that you speak Greek as well. So we're kind of cheating here on the theme of this podcast. But as a tech person, you had the opportunity to really see Cyprus grow as a tech hub. And as someone leading AI development in FinTech, how does Cyprus compare to other tech hubs?
This is a great question. I think Cyprus is a wonderful place. Like you said, I've been here for a very long time. For the first while, completely as an expat without knowing the language or anything. And then slowly I got inducted into the local culture, learned the language, and I do feel myself definitely out of, let's say, all different places I've lived, this is the place that I can call home 100% without negotiation. And it's true that over the years, Cyprus has really changed. Its growth is stellar, astronomical even, on the topic of astrophysics. And we have a lot of companies taking it seriously, bringing their development teams entirely, relocating them to Cyprus and setting up here, which creates incredible communities of people helping each other out and trying to navigate living in Europe. People, for example, who haven't before lived in Europe and they're coming here and they're starting to deal with a lot of new red tape regulations. So we have these communities of expats that help each other out. But also the opportunities are great. So I'm really happy to speak when I interview, for example, machine learning engineers for my team. I'm very happy to hear that they have made a conscious decision to stay in Cyprus or to return to Cyprus after their studies to pursue a career here, because now it's possible. A lot of people were believing that, okay, if you go to study computer science, try to stay in London, try to live abroad, make a career there. But now people are actually coming back to Cyprus, and the locals especially, and building their life here and building their career. So I'm really happy to see this happening.
That's excellent. What would you say are some of the advantages of Cyprus as a tech hub? And what are some disadvantages that a small island in Europe could have for these people?
Yeah. Okay. Let's start, of course, with the obvious advantages. Cyprus is a unique place that's inside the European Union, which offers all of the benefits that a country within the EU grants, as well as having arguably the best climate. The best food, this is my opinion.
Not in August, but maybe the rest of the year.
No problem. Even in August is still tolerable compared to, for example, Dutch winters. August in Cyprus is much more tolerable, for example, for me. Okay, the food is great. The culture is fantastic. People are very hospitable. The majority of the population, especially young population of locals, speak English fluently due to the tourism industry being such a great industry for so many decades.
Yeah, and we're a colony of the UK.
And we're a ex-colony, exactly.
Ex-colony.
So British people also feel at home here. So Cyprus is a great place for initiatives which, for example, have to do with the European Union. I know that there's a lot of companies, tech companies in Cyprus, which rely on support from Brussels via grants, etc., to build their businesses here in Cyprus, to further European Union's goals, but they're able to do it from Cyprus, and some people even travel here to work here. Of course, needless to say, maybe this is a hot topic, but the fiscal situation in Cyprus is very pleasant for expats. Compared to other places, it's a very pleasant fiscally situation. I mean, I wish I would get the benefits of it, but as a holder of a Cyprus passport, I'm happy that we have this fiscal system to attract so much talent from abroad to get us up to date with state of the art and the status quo technology right now of other tech hubs. So in terms of drawbacks, I guess it's just growing pains. This is how I would classify it. We're growing extremely quickly, and are we growing properly? Are we actually considering the ramifications of these decisions that we're making when we have such a growth in this sector? How will it affect Cyprus culture, how will it affect the country as a whole. Uh, I don't know if these things are completely taken into account, but these, like I said, these are growing pains. From this huge growth come certain problems, but I wouldn't say that we are much worse off, for example, regulation-wise than other European companies. Maybe other tech hubs, for example, okay, let's consider Silicon Valley, for example. We recently heard American policymakers say that it's innovation at all cost. We're gonna have some controls, but we're not gonna be regulating and slowing you down. Innovate, go for it. Of course, we cannot compete. Nobody can compete with this kind of standards of a tech hub
But
like
is
they
it
have in America.
sustainable
This is
to
a
not
great
have
question.
regulations, to not take it step by step and reflect on progress?
Definitely, there needs to be found a balance. Right now, we're seeing, let's say, the three axes, right? It's the United States, European market, and the Chinese market. So the European market is over-regulating everything. So before we even start anything, we need to first fully set up a regulatory body that will oversee everything with the rules, regulations, reporting systems, etc. US is complete opposite. It's free for all. Just if you have the money, go for it. We're not going to stop you. And China is a very interesting one because there's a lot of governmental initiative involved with this kind of like approach of innovation, which is sometimes less transparent. We don't know exactly how it works at all times, the way that it's being said. There is definitely somewhere an optimal balance between regulation and innovation. Where it is, I don't have the answer.
Okay. So something that's very interesting to me with Cyprus growth and all these expats that come here, and you might be in a good place to talk about it being in the middle of it all, is that a lot of these companies, target people outside of Cyprus for their business as consumers, but they're based in Cyprus. How do you see the expat community giving back to the local community?
This is a great question that I think about often. So when you're experiencing such a rate of growth, you need external talent to come and support the demands of this growth. Locally raising the talent to support this rate of growth is not possible. The rate of growing the labor force in these super high skilled jobs can never keep up in any country. This is not just for Cyprus, any country. You can never keep up with the demands of such a growth that Cyprus is experiencing tech-wise. So the expat community that comes here, one of the key things is that we see with initiatives like with the Youth Tech Fest and with the Quadcode hackathon that we held last year is trying to give back and transfer this knowledge as much as possible onto the local population in order to foster this natural growth in the future years to come. We cannot always rely on external talent. This is not possible. We need to foster and grow our own skilled labor force that will be able to support the future demands of this tech industry. And I feel like we're doing better than other tech hubs in terms of these kinds of initiatives and events that are going on, especially now with schools and all the projects that are happening. Universities are getting very involved. They're trying to involve as well these companies that bring these tech specialists. They're inviting them for lectures, for example, to speak to students.
And they're changing their degrees now. They have a lot more AI
Absolutely.
degrees and tech degrees.
Absolutely. So we're doing everything we can to keep up, and we just need to see it actually play out. The expat community, I see it giving back. I don't know if it's to the full of its capacity or partially. I know it's happening wholeheartedly, that everybody wants to see Cyprus grow. Nobody believes that Cyprus can become, okay, now I say nobody believes, I'll change it. Personally, I don't believe that it's possible for Cyprus to become like the next Dubai, where the entire economy is propped up by skilled immigrants who have their own companies and are completely outsourcing to non-Emirati people, for example, for the skilled labor force, etc. I don't think it's a possible scenario for Cyprus because we are part of the EU. We have a lot of different cultural nuances also in Cyprus, which can prevent this. However, as we are keeping up currently, I think that we will start seeing the effect in 5 to 10 years, that we're going to see really amazing personalities and amazing skills emerging from local startups, fully locally based startups, or we're going to see a lot more top management slots being filled with local individuals as well, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah, me too. So let's talk a little bit about AI because for most people it came into our lives last year, I know we've had this conversation before, and it was a slower process than what we think. But for most people, last year we got ChatGPT, and now we're afraid we're not gonna have jobs anymore. And you talk about a lot about ethical AI. Can you tell us a little bit what does that mean, and what are some challenges with AI? What are some, you know, impactful things that can happen?
Sure, I will try. I'll try my best because I believe ethical AI is a very large umbrella term that is applied to very, very many concepts. First of all, let's start with the fact of how AI models work. AI models train on incredibly large amounts of data in order to become useful. The data that they train on, well, at the moment, the data that is available is human generated. These are our blog posts, news articles, books, etc. And I'm sure as a lot of linguists will agree and philosophers, we as humans, we have inherent biases inside of us that come out through our speech, through the things that we write down, etc. At the moment, the way that we make AI is we do not control for any of these biases. We just feed it the data and say, be as good as predicting, for example, the next word in this sentence as all this other text from all the other texts that you have seen and learned from. So I always say this story about a recruiting company, or I think, sorry, it was a recruiting department within a tech company that outsourced their recruiting process and their first CV screening process to an AI system. So the way it would work is when somebody would apply to a position, their CV would be fed first to a machine learning model who would analyze it, then score it based on the likelihood of the candidate passing through the interview stages, accepting the offer, and being an employee in the company. And the way that they trained this model is they took all the CVs of all the people who already worked at the company, fed it to the AI model, and said, okay, you create
something similar, keywords.
Do similar things, yes. So they started seeing the results of this model in production, actually live, seeing the results, and somebody raised the alarm and said, are no females applying to these job positions? I have not received from the AI model any female CVs, none whatsoever. This is very strange. And actually went back and manually sorted through the CVs of all the applicants, and there were plenty of female applicants, but the AI model learned on the recruiting bias of the company that the majority of the employees were male and just assumed that the characteristic of being female is a predictor of an unlikely successful hiring. So this bias was ingrained inside of this AI system, but it was not controlled for consciously beforehand. Like the weights were not adjusted to give equal opportunity to, let's say, some factors like gender. And it ended up causing this biased decision-making system, which they ended up controlling for afterwards. So this is, for example, to me, a shining place where ethical AI has a place in the discussion. When an AI system is a decision maker, you have to understand its biases. You need to have, except from the standard, let's say, tests of does the system work properly? Will it crash if I type in random words, etc.? Will it just crash and not know what to do? You need to actually have synthetic data that you feed to it and control the output for biases that can be ingrained in the model without you understanding. So this is, for example, one thing of ethical AI. The other thing, in my opinion, is, like you mentioned before, this replacement theory that, yeah, we're all going to have jobs in 5 years because AI will replace all of us. A lot of companies, I believe, are currently waking up to the fact that AI replacement is a much worse strategy than AI augmentation of your labor force. Instead of cutting costs in terms of labor inside of your company and replacing it with the AI system, if you increase the if you can upskill your labor force and all of your employees in the company for using AI tools and becoming more productive, you can actually double or triple your productivity at work without having to pay a lot extra for those double, triple increase in labor amount. And slowly we're seeing that companies are adopting AI assistants and the AI coding tools, or potentially some kind of tasks which are very grueling and manual are being automated by AI. But I think that replacement is unlikely and an inferior strategy to augmentation.
Okay, well, let's be hopeful that you're right about this. I might agree that replacement might not be very likely, but you know, it's gonna slow down the hiring processes. I think there's gonna be a big shift in the job market.
Definitely. Like NVIDIA's CEO said on one of his keynote speeches, is that he mentioned that all parents of the previous generation would tell their kids, learn computer science, learn to code. This is where the future is. And he said, actually, our job as innovators in the technology space is to make sure that nobody ever has to code ever again. So the job of programmer might not exist in a time span of 10 years. You will just be able to directly input what your end result you would like it to be, and everything else will be handled for you in the best programming language on the best system on the background by itself by AI. So yes, there will be a big shift in terms of what is considered skilled labor. However, there will be so many more opportunities for everybody to become a startup, for everybody to be able to create an application, which is will improve our life quality without the bloat of having a development force.
We might get more creative too.
Definitely.
So many people have great ideas and they get stuck on not knowing how to realize them.
Exactly. We will have more time to be creative rather than doing manual tasks.
So looking ahead, do you see any AI trends that you think will shape the future, not only of FinTech, but maybe any other industry?
Okay. The AI trends that are currently the most important in my opinion is, of course, price. So at the moment we see that, for example, OpenAI is spending countless amount of money to train their AI models. And then Chinese companies shows that you can do it by many factors less amount of money to train a very, very good AI model. We're also seeing the same thing on the development side. After you finish developing, to actually send it to production, you might not require any more enormous data centers because we're making it so much more efficient. So I call this part the computer science part, making small optimizations and increases in efficiency of the actual code, which is creating the AI models, which means that we're going to be able to fine tune and train models to be much more robust, flexible to our desires and needs at a much cheaper price. So for example, a lot of people refer to currently like AI models with terms that can be described people's personality. Like, oh, okay, this model feels very lifeless. This one is too detail oriented, etc. Like, and people are choosing between these models, but there can exist a future in which your AI model that lives in your phone or on your tablet that you use on a day-to-day basis is trained and fine-tuned exactly towards what you need it to be able to do. It is trained with the way that potentially you speak. For example, if you're a content creator and you're writing blog posts, it can train on how you speak, how you form your thoughts, how you maybe your political stances to also make sure not to write something for you that's completely out of line with what you believe in. So this is one part. The other part is the mathematical trends. We're learning more about how AI models work, because when the GPT models came out, there was a lot of questions of, okay, but what actually, like, how does it actually work? Like, how does it learn so well? This is spooky, it's like this black box of intelligence of like, how does it actually work? And we're mathematically digging into it recently more and more to actually understand what makes these models think, reason, create a chain of thought, etc.
And I think some of them now tell you the thought process behind.
They do tell you the thought process, but we don't know what makes the thought process happen. It's just another model creating the reasoning behind the scenes and corrects itself and discovers things. And finally, the last trend that will transform, let's say, business as we do it on a day-to-day basis is efficiency. There's going to be so much more efficiency. Startups will become the new status quo, I believe. Everybody will be able to have a startup because they will be able to launch themselves so efficiently with the help of AI tools and not rely on huge investments at the beginning. And we are going to see a huge amount of creative approaches, and there's going to be potentially apps for everything and websites for everything.
Don't we already have apps for everything? It's going to be
You
more?
would think so. You would think so. I was searching personal finance forecasting app, and I just ended up making it myself over the weekend. So
you just made an app over the weekend?
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
It's not for sale. So yeah, definitely there's going to be a lot more chance for people to make their dreams a reality.
Wow, excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions to wrap this up. I want you to tell me your favorite place to unwind in Cyprus.
This is a fantastic question. I love the mountains. I love going up into the Troodos mountains and going on hikes. So when the weather permits, the best thing to do is to just put on your hiking shoes, go up into the mountains and just see the beautiful mountain ranges and just this beautiful fresh air up there. This is something I really enjoy doing in Cyprus.
Do you have a favorite hiking trail?
No, I can't say that I have a favorite one. I rotate between 5 or 6 constantly, hiking trails that I like to go to, but there's a lot of the hiking trails are, I believe, still not totally explored. There's a lot of places which aren't specifically pinned as a great hiking trail, but everywhere up in the mountains is beautiful.
I thought you were gonna say over the weekend I created my own hiking trail.
Next weekend.
Do you have any book suggestions, maybe AI related, for anyone interested in learning more about it?
This is a great question, and I will tell you why I believe it's at the same time not a very good question. The reason is the AI space at the moment is moving way too fast. And the time that it takes to actually write a book and get it published and traction, everything inside of this book becomes obsolete. I was having this conversation with Simon Chris in Australia. He wrote a book about using AI in customer experience approach. And he said by the time that he finished the book and published it, he'd never felt proud of it since then because it's already went out of date. So it's impossible to keep up all the time with the trends. With books, I will not recommend anything, but what I would recommend is there's a lot of very bright voices who are utilizing platforms like Medium and LinkedIn, etc., to convey their journey of developing AI or exploring AI and applying AI. And the best way to learn about it is straight from the horse's mouth and just see from the people who are using it. Follow them, see what they're talking about.
Excellent advice. Okay, if you could automate one thing in your personal life, what would it be?
If I could automate just one thing from my personal life, what would it be? I think, to be honest, it would be okay. This might be difficult, but sleeping. I'm trying to think how it would be possible. You know,
I'll give you some pills.
You'll give me some pills. Yeah, it should be great. Okay, since I cannot automate sleeping, I think the thing that I would automate is keeping incredible records of information that I hear in a non-written format. So I learn a lot from my conversations with fellow inventors in the tech space and people who are currently thinking of how to develop AI. And these conversations sometimes get lost due to just how often they happen and the amount of information that we exchange with each other. I wish that there would be a way to instantly digitize every conversation that I have, the ideas that they generate, and then put them together in an amazing kind of list.
I love that idea. I wish there was an AI model that could capture what I think during a shower and then put it in a document for me.
Shower GPT.
Shower GPT.
You heard it here first.
For your next weekend.
I like
Ivan,
it.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I encourage everyone to check out our new podcast, Urban Canvas, where we invite artists, social advocates, and NGOs to discuss the cultural landscape of Cyprus, and our flagship podcast, Breakpoint with Michael Tirimos, for in-depth conversations with the most successful high-profile individuals of Cyprus. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spotify and at fastforward.com.cy. Until next time, keep inspiring and take care.